Hello, 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 sirs.
Good morning, GM. I hope everyone's having a great Saturday. It can be Saturday morning, Saturday evening, Saturday night, depending on where you're at. We are hosting one of the best builders in the crypto space today, Danny, who we have right here. So, Danny, we would love if you could give a little bit intro for yourself.
Yo, yo, yo. Oh, it has been a while since I've done an AMA and this kind of stuff on Spaces. So everybody always like, oh, when Danny AMA? So it's kind of funny. So yeah, the time has come, gentlemen and ladies and whatever. We are here. So all anons I can see are here. So it's evening for me, but I guess a lot of you are just starting your day. I am Daniele. Well, for who doesn't know me, I'm officially chief rug puller at Popsicle Finance. So I'm the biggest rug puller in the crypto space. I constantly just think about new ways how to rug people. And in the meantime, while I'm thinking how to do it, people seems to actually make it. So that's a little bit of a weird situation happening there with my protocols and people doing WAGMI, right? And that's why I sort of made this new protocol that is not so much new. It's more like an evolution of Popsicle Finance, which is called WAGMI because I mean it's a meme, right? We're all gonna make it, and seems like we are in meme season, so why not? Actually, it has been for many who I will give you some hint of why I had the domain wagme.com back in the day, and one day I was speaking with the guys at Alameda, and well, they don't exist anymore. Seems like a lot of people that were working back in the day, they're not anymore around here. Mm. But we were talking about Solana, which seems to be like a big thing now. It wasn't when FTX was involved, or maybe, I don't know. It was not as much hyped as now, but I'm not a huge Solana fan. But at the time, Alameda was like, Danny, need to make like a meme coin or something. And in that time, I'm like, yo, I should buy wagme.com no matter what, if I'm going to launch a meme coin or not. And well, yeah, we were thinking about maybe launching a meme coin Wagmi at the time on Solana with Alameda and send like the LP and shit like that to them to send to charity and some stuff like this. But then it didn't happen. Thanks God it didn't happen, honestly, because it would have been a fucking mess now. But yeah, who knows how it would have been, but I guarantee you that would have been very well. And yeah, that's how the Wagmi name came to life. But then it stayed there. I stayed there for a while, and then I was like, yo, we did a lot of research. We spent years researching Uniswap v3 positions. Mm. We had managed the most out of anybody. I think we were at a certain point. We were basically doing almost all the volume on Uniswap through our Popsicle LPs, PLPs. We are managing like 300 million plus worth of positions. That for just being basically manager of V3 position was fucking huge achievement, to the extent that we had a conversation with G, saying like, "Yo, we're starting to have a problem because we are so big that rebalancing our LPs requires such a huge amount of liquidity that we don't know how to source it because we became the liquidity." And at that time, we started with the just-in-time liquidity. A lot of the MEV stuff, we did it first. and we were fucking around with all that kind of stuff at the time, doing research for us, and all of that basically experience and the real world experience on being liquidity provider of DeFi at the maximum volumes at the time, it has translated into our new deployment that is WAGMI. Also, of course, in that I need to add that we added all the experience with all the other protocols that we had, all the mistakes that I did, all the mistakes that other people did. Like now I don't need to choose treasury managers anymore, unfortunately, because next time I would try to employ someone that is already in jail, so we don't have problems anymore. I think I maybe can get it straight for free. Maybe, who knows? Definitely they can run with the private keys. They are already there, so maybe it's a good idea. But apart of that, I think there has been a lot of things that I've done in a good way, a lot of things that I've done in a bad way. And spent a little bit retired, not really retired. We were building, but
Amazing.
more like finding, that balance in between the work and real life sort of situation. And that we made WAGMI. And fuck, WAGMI is the fucking best I've ever done, and by far. And so it's a fucking printing machine, and I love it. And I fucking love the fact that we are already giving like 90% APR without giving away one fucking token. I just love it, and it just proves that there is value out there. It's just about capturing properly. And
Amazing.
Jesus, we are here, and we are here on Metis. So finally, we're having a layer two that I like, situation that I like. The deployment is pretty much ready, Like I think it's awesome. And then I spoke with these guys out here from Metis, and I was like, "Yo, guys, I think you guys are cool. What's happening?" And I found the family out here. They're all super nice and very smart guys, and very very fast forward thinking. I really like people that when we say something we fucking do it, like. And because I'm like that, like I say like, "Oh, let's do this," and we fucking go ahead and try to make it as fast as possible. And I find this great fit into this community, and these like-minded builders of this layer two. And yeah, I went ahead and I'm like, "Guys, like, actually say the truth." I'm like, Anita, please write a proposal and send to forum, because I wanted to deploy here, and I was hoping that we can get everything in check. So we had the previous code, and we prepared the proposal. And what is the proposal about? Well, make uh, Metis fucking greatest chain ever. No, no, I'm joking.
Not
It was
joking. Not
about
joking. He's being for
well,
real.
well. I mean, the greatest blockchain it can't be, but the greatest layer two. Why not? Like, if you think about our history here, historically, we kickstarted Arbitrum. So at the time, when I was speaking with Michael, we said, "Okay, let's go. Let's deploy Curve. Let's deploy Abracadabra." There is already a little exchange going on, and there is the said cat coin or whatever that shit was. And then the Alameda guys were asking me, should we deposit billions of dollars on fucking said cat coin? And shit was happening, and I'm like, yes, we can go, but the important part is that we need to be able to bridge properly. So that's where meme came in, and that's where people started minting, and we opened the Curve pool. Was the first pool there with Magic Internet money, and we opened up with now defunct. I don't know if they're dead or not, but multi-chain. and we supported it right away. And we were moving in and out all the capital of Ethereum for a long time. And you need to think that the deepest liquidity on Arbitrum was meme Ethereum. So the biggest pool was meme, and the biggest protocol in TVL was Abracadabra on for months and months and months. I think from since it began till I kind of pulled out, right, out of the equation. But it was it makes sense for me and the whole kickstarting sort of ecosystem idea. And this time I come in a different way because finally, I mean, we tried with sushi, but then I had to resign uh, at the time. But finally, we have our own exchange. We are working on building the version 4, our own version 4, similar to Uniswap version 4, but in our own way, as usual. That doesn't cost money to people to use, like it is there. And yeah, yeah, I mean, uh, I think I let the host asking me the question. If not, I can go on. You guys know for hours and hours.
No, no, that was a phenomenal, like first, like phenomenal history about WAGMI, about the origins. Like I fully agree. Like in jail or out of jail would both be phenomenal alternatives, man. Like just like a proper like liquidity manager, something bullish. And I was gonna come up with an icebreaker, actually like not needed at all anymore. I think Daniel broke the ice pretty well, pretty swiftly. So I am wondering what I want to go in is a little bit about Metis, about what's coming for Metis, like WACME and Metis. So Daniel, tell us a little bit about what is being proposed. Like we know that WACME already passed CEG, it's already a community verified project. So what is being brought to the table? What is coming or what's being proposed to Metis? Because I'm pretty sure everyone here is super keen to find out
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah, so the full WAGMI deployment on Metis, that means that we are bringing our exchange, which is Uniswap V3 type exchange. We are bringing full GMI, which is the gonna make it token, which is our special solution on basically raising liquidity for our exchange, which diverges. Then maybe later I can explain a little bit more on why and how and why we decided to do it. And then we're bringing a first, which is our audited, finished the audits of our basically sort of perpetuals, which is a new way of longing and shorting any coin, and it's very cool because instead of being basically price dependent, it's more like time dependent. And you would say, but it's like options. Yes, but the option has expiration. Expiration. This doesn't have expiration. As long as you can pay, you can go on, and it's very cool. And this all comes a little bit from history because everybody was like, Daniele, you get liquidated, blah blah blah, all the liquidation bullshit that I had before. So I'm like, okay, we need to develop something that I can't get liquidated, so nobody can say that I'm ragging or they get liquidated because of some reason, that it's me or somebody else, or somebody can manipulate the market and try to fuck with the frogs. Now this time, no more fucking with the frogs. So this is the new fucking good shit. And many other things that I can't tell, but they're cool. And that's
That's
what we're
fucking
bringing on
dope.
Metis.
Go ahead, go ahead. You were saying, Danny, you were not done.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. This is the sort of starter pack. Additional to this, you guys know that DWF is in partnership with us, and our partnership is not about market making the WAGMI token. Actually, our partnership is to market make on our decks, which is a first. There has never been a DEX that actually thinks like a centralized exchange, and centralized exchange work exactly like this. They need market makers, they need quotes, they need to maintain tight spreads, and this is what we are doing. The cool thing about WAGMI is that it functions very very well with something like Metis, because Metis is fast, it's cheap, it's reliable, and what we do is dynamically manage our liquidity positions to be able to sustain certain type of volumes and certain type of spreads. And our collaboration with the market maker allows the arbitrage to be profitable for our GMI stakers, but at the same time allows the chain to quote prices that exist on centralized exchange at the same price, which is what we try to achieve constantly with deploying WAGMI. Why is this important? Because you want that the users that want to purchase, sell, buy, trade the token Metis, they get the same pricing on chain that they have off chain. This is important for the activity on chain. It's important to create the real DeFi, to create a real community, and not just like having people buying the token Moon Boys and all like this. You want them to experience the value that they're actually purchasing on, right? That is not the inherent value of the token. It's the actual usage of the chain, right? And by doing that, mm, you allow people to also boost the value of this chain, because how many transactions exist every day, how much volume exists every day on centralized exchanges, that of course brings value to the price of Metis, but the inherent value of Metis is the usage of the layer 2. So we want to make sure that all this traffic, all this value gets transferred out of the centralized exchanges into decentralized exchanges like WAGMI. And of course, we are very happy to see other exchanges coming in, because it boosts the overall value of the layer 2 and the arbitrage opportunities that exist, that we also capture with our own bots that we run to maintain this pricing across all DeFi.
No, but that's insane. So pretty much users will be able to provide liquidity like in other dexes or in other perp dexes, but they won't be subject to exploits like price manipulation or etc. That's so bullish. That's a pretty innovative for the DeFi space. I don't think we've seen that in other layer twos. I don't think we've seen that in crypto, honestly. And having it in Metis,
No,
it's
it's a
like
first.
yeah, like so like let alone that like having it on Metis like in the moment in which it's about to deploy, it's so I don't want to say bullish, but the word is bullish, so I will have to use it. It's so bullish for the ecosystem and for users in general. So Danny, what are some of the timelines for this? I know that the proposal
Yeah,
went through TEG, so when are y'all thinking about deploying the protocol?
Monday. Want to deploy on Monday.
Okay, okay, so everyone's hearing that, right? Like I'm not crazy. He said Monday, so we are looking at Monday
I
for
know.
deployment of
It's
WAGMI.
not my problem. I think Vitalik is here listening, so we're
Dude,
gonna
like,
be on Monday.
so in case anyone saw, WAGMI will also be receiving the first disbursement of the Metis EDF, like the Metis Ecosystem Development Fund. That's the 4.6 million Metis fund that we announced a few weeks ago. It's currently valued at around $400 million based on the current Metis price. So this will be the first disbursement. We're talking about a perps platform in which users will be able to provide liquidity. They will be able to trade seamlessly using the same price feeds as in centralized exchanges. So it won't be subject to manipulations. And they will also be getting this piece of funding or this first disbursement from the ecosystem fund. So as you all can probably imagine, next week will be pretty big. So, huh? So this changes a lot of things. It changes a lot of questions that I had actually. But so what exactly? Just so everyone's aware, what exactly is being deployed on launch on this Monday? Is the perps platform, right?
It's the exchange. our all arbitrage bots and the GMI. So we are starting to raise the liquidity for the exchange through the GMI process, and we are starting to do these pairs. So we are gonna do Metis Ethereum, Metis USDT, Metis WAGMI are gonna be the first pairs that we are deploying on WAGMI exchange with the GMI commitments, and also just take a little bit about the proposal, which is important, and the disbursement of the Metis that you guys sent us. So I want to make sure that everybody know that actually the grant that we are getting is going as a booster. So it's going as liquidity with WAGMI, and it goes inside of the contract that boosts the APRs. So it's gonna be locked forever. There is no way that we can take it off, and it's not used or dumped or anything for our own purposes or the development purposes. We have everything to pay everything, so it just gets locked forever. So you can think about that. Those those Metis are there to provide liquidity forever on chain, and all the pairs that we raise with GMI are locked forever. And this is one of the values that WAGMI brings to blockchains in general, and especially at this point to Metis, because every basically liquidity position that we raise through the GMI process gets locked forever on chain. What does that mean? That, yeah, a lot of people see the pumps and the momentum, and we are all excited about the bull market. But what happens in the bear market? All the liquidity pulls away because there is no more incentives. There is no more paying for. There is no more volumes, right? But then you left dry. So you're using all these Metis for incentivizing exchanges, liquidity. Everything happens in the bull market, but what happens after? Like, this is an important question for protocols. Like, what is going to be? And with having WAGMI as a partner, well, you are guaranteed that everything that has been there before is going to be there after. And this is very important, I think, for the long term, uh, the perspective.
Dude, this is
Yeah.
huge for the long term. This is huge because, like, to give a little bit of perspective around there, bear markets tend to happen at the same time as when the economy has like high yields, high treasury yields, let's say bonds or any type of like yield bearing asset. So why would investors, if they're already getting 5.5 APR on a US security, which is secure to be paid off to them, why would they risk, whenever we're talking about millions of dollars and 5.5% or 6%, it's a pretty relevant ROI, like yearly ROI on that type of money? Why would they come to these type of like places? So crypto, yes, brings better returns, like higher returns, but it involves a higher risk as well. So during bear markets, all of these huge liquidity that we see or we were used to see during bull markets goes away because they can get these 6% somewhere else. Why would they stick to crypto and be subject to a higher risk if with all of the like lowering prices and everything that is happening in the space, they might be getting not such a higher return that the one that they will get outside, and outside they are way more protected in theory. So all of this liquidity on exchanges goes dry, it goes missing pretty much, MIA, like like the intern was yesterday. So this liquidity, by it being locked permanently in Metis, it will make sure that there is, for example, AVE caps. We didn't see AVE caps raised as much as we would have wanted. Why? One of the main reasons was liquidity. There was not as much liquidity in the ecosystem to keep raising the caps. By all of this liquidity being locked, we can secure that we'll be able to raise caps a lot more. People will always have good prices to be able like to trade and such, and there will be a lot more pros that will come from it. So just giving you an idea of how big this is, not only for all we're gonna make a lot of money type of thing and DJs doing their DJ stuff, but also for the ecosystems like health in general. It will be huge, this deployment, and a bunch of the things that I'm hearing about that Danny is telling about, like WACME, about what is going to be deployed. Like I wasn't even like fully aware of all of these things, so I am pretty excited right now. Danny, how would you say this can impact, or what, if you could describe, for like explain like I'm five, how this will impact the ecosystem's adoptions and growth, what will you answer?
Well, I think I give you a bit of context that is relevant to our deployment on Kava. Right now, you can buy the Kava coin with the same exact spread up to around $60,000 worth that is on Binance right now. Maybe even a little bit better. Imagine that, right? So when we deploy, you will be able to buy, and within a few days that we raise the caps and we do all our stuff, you will be able to buy Metis in the same way that you could buy it on centralized exchanges perfectly without on chain, super fast, super easy, in my opinion, easier than on a centralized exchange where you have to do your KYC or whatever. You can bridge right away, you can do your thing. Like this impacts the ecosystem bigly. And efficiency, like which how much worth of Metis we need to be deep, right? And the cool thing about managing this liquidity in the right way is the real efficiency, because we look at the volume, the size, we constantly do analytics on what is the most important flow that we want to capture, and we maintain into that flow. So for the small guy, the medium guy, depending on what we are really looking at of the real important usage on chain, we are maintaining that value for them, right? Like I always think about the frog, right? The small frog that wants to buy a certain amount, etc., etc., wants to trade. Is there where nobody cares about. Like everybody cares. Like if you do the OTC, whatever, you're a whale, you're gonna get the best price. But what about the small guy? No, he's gonna get wrecked unless he uses the bigger exchange or whatever. So they all end up ending into the bigger exchange that they can constantly capture all this flow, all these users. And we want to change that paradigm, right? We want to bring them to decentralized exchanges, to layer two Metis, to buy. And as time passes, progresses, like we can raise caps and raise GMI positions of, like, for example, Bitcoin USDT. And what about if you can buy Bitcoin with the same spread of Binance? What if you can buy ETH with the same spread of Binance on Metis? That's fucking cool. And what is the size that you reckon is important? Well, we got all the analytics. That's the cool thing about on chain. Like we spent 2 years on looking at all these things, and that's how. And dynamically, we constantly spend time and time and time to constantly make sure that the strategies, that the depth, that the certain ticks have more, certain ticks have less, and maintaining this, like our LP, it's broken down sometimes in more than 7 positions in one that have different depth of liquidity in certain specific ranges. So you can imagine that this is really sophisticated, decentralized exchange, the most sophisticated decentralized exchange ever. So you can, of course, you can have the perps, and it's one thing. But what about like the combination of the two things? And the cool thing about what we're working on right now is the updated version of WAGMI, which allows to utilize the treasury that is locked forever to as a for the perps. Mm. So then it's a total domination, because then you have the liquidity that is locked forever and the perps that are using that liquidity to enable the trading forever, and that trading fees that exist out of the perp goes to the LP, that goes then back into the GMI system, that goes into the WAGMI, and creates this constant positive feedback loop that still uh, maintains that liquidity profitable even during more bear market situations. That's very cool.
Basically,
Yeah.
it's confirmed, y'all. Like Danny will single-handedly onboard the next billion users, not even on chain, but on Metis. So, like, all of this is actually pretty exciting. I do agree with bringing tooling and infrastructure that users are familiar with. Like, if they find it super easy to go on trade on centralized exchanges is probably because of the UX and the UI that they are having. So why not bring in that same UX to crypto, to on chain, and let them have the same prices, same spreads, and everything as they would on regular exchanges? I love that 100%. I think it makes
Yeah.
it very more usable, and it knocks down one of the main entry barriers, which is that user experience. How so? I'm hearing like this will be a beast. Uh, WAGMI is gonna have a lot of things. Like it's gonna have like it's super bullish for all the WAGMI users, for all the WAGMI like LPs and such. How would you describe the potential synergies between WAGMI and other ecosystem protocols? Do you think that there would be some type of composability, like they would be able to interact with each other, or will WAGMI be more of a single beast of its own?
No, no, definitely. Like I like Lego. For me, DeFi is like playing with Legos, and I always look into this, which type of component I'm building for let other people build on top of it. Obviously, like WAGMI by itself is own sort of juggernaut of trading, because it's like asking like how do you see Binance. Like I kind of compare it like it's what I want is build the Binance of decentralized exchanges, right? How do you see Binance as a component for other? Well, first of all, like we can be um, a, a platform that provides liquidity and even locks forever liquidity. If we get into partnership with ecosystem players that we find relevant, we can be raising money for them in terms of liquidity into the GMI and allow that liquidity to exist forever also for them, for their own token. So that's already like a huge thing. Like instead of them renting that liquidity out of others, we can enter partnership for getting benefits or whatever. In both ways, we can benefit, and we can basically allow them to have this liquidity on our exchange without having to rent it, which is I think a huge thing for a lot, because we spend every time we raise liquidity for our pairs. Of course, we do strategies and everything. We can do that for other protocols to have very efficient liquidity without losing money, and which is important. And yeah, that's one component that I see. Uh, Additionally, with that liquidity, potentially, we can allow, even with their own liquidity, we can allow the perp to exist on top of their own existing liquidity. So we could offer leverage to any new project, meme coin or whatever, from day one, just because it's deployed on WAGMI standard liquidity. Imagine that. How fucking crazy that is. Like, imagine being able to long 5 million market cap coin 10x from the beginning. Like, that's fucking cool. So if you're launching something on Metis, and you put it on WAGMI as non-WAGMI protocol on liquidity, as a normal liquidity, then you have access to the perpetuals. So, which is fucking cool, and that's a huge play for the ecosystem. And then, of course, with our experience, we still have all the popsicle finance, old school vaults and everything like that, which means that in the case of other exchanges that deploy on Metis, which I think is great, we can offer strategies on their own exchanges where people can um, have better positioning of their liquidity on other exchanges on Metis, which is great, I think. And that's what that comes to my mind at the moment. But of course, as players come in, I have a lot of ideas, so we'll figure it out.
Dude, that's not even great. That's mind blowing. So I have a lot. I'm seeing a lot of DJs in the audience right now. So I know that many of you all like trading on Tethys. What about trading Tethys with leverage? What about trading like GameFi? What about trading Net? Trading Home? trading Athena, like all these ecosystem tokens, being able to trade them with leverage. I know that many of y'all follow each of these projects very closely. Like you probably know what are the upcoming narratives. You probably know what's on the burner, on the back burner, what's coming soon. So y'all might have an edge, and it's not even insider information. It's like following the project closely. In crypto, there is a lot of information asymmetry. So there is a lot of like, hey, if you're aware of it, you're probably gonna win. If you're not, you probably are not. And I know that a lot of people here have been following the ecosystem pretty closely. What if you could actually trade all of these tokens with leverage? Because I know a lot of people are, or a lot of times you might not have enough liquidity to really like to make something significant out of these price movements. You might say, oh, I mean, like something is better than nothing, yeah. But being able to actually create markets in perpetuals for all of these tokens, oof, like I would personally use it a lot. And yes, of course, it would bring a higher degree of risk as well. But I mean, it would be so fun, and it would also be very. It would be a very interesting opportunity for those who follow these projects closely. So yeah, I mean, it sounds fascinating. It sounds like something that is definitely going to benefit the ecosystem as a whole and the degens in it. And I am wondering, by the way, like if any of y'all have some interesting questions, we will be bringing people up into like on the stage in a few minutes. So if y'all have any questions, like do raise your hands, do let us know, or you can also type them like under the tweet and just ask the questions in there. I also have some questions that some people sent me, so I will be asking them in a minute. I'm going over the final questions that I have for Danny. Um, Danny, what in terms of WAGMI's short and long term involvement in the Metis ecosystem, you touched a little bit on it, on your experience building on Metis so far. You said that you've been surrounded by a lot of like people that like to do stuff, that getting stuff done. So I'm not gonna ask you about your experience building on Metis per se. I want to ask you about your how do you vision how do you see yourself in Metis? Like, do you see yourself developing WAGMI into a full-on like beast on the long term, as well as deploying other protocols on Metis, or what are like what are your current views right now? Asking mainly because we do
Well,
love
I
having
tell
such a
you, like,
talented builder on board. So, like, I'm pretty sure many of the
well,
community
I
members
tell
have
you,
received that.
I've been already in contact with multiple builders to bring them to Metis. Famous one, less famous ones. I've been talking with small projects that already reached out to me that asked me, should we deploy on Metis? What are we gonna do? There is one project that it's a lending market that I'm helping out because I think it's important, and yeah, I mean, I'm committed. Like I'm around here. Like if the opportunity comes and I'm making everything, like the first launch of our perpetual is here. Like I'm here on AMA. Like I mean, why why not? Like I think there is a lot of potential. I've seen the start of Arbitrium. Then I haven't been around after um, for a year and a half. Now this time I want to see all that upside, and I don't want to just kickstart stuff and see them then be more successful. This time I'm gonna stick around and see take the war ride along. Fucking like so I'm here.
Bullish, bullish. Okay, I'm pretty sure everyone is as excited as I am about that response. So I think I'm gonna sum it up right now. I've asked most of the questions that I did have. So let me go very quickly over some of the questions that we received yesterday. And this is a time for everyone that may wanna ask a question or anything. This is the time for you all to come on board and ask us. One second, finding those questions. Okay, so there was one user who asked, "Is Daniel building any product, combination of products not existing in other ecos? If so, what?" I think that question, like Daniel already answered it, the project or the version of WAGMI that he's about to deploy on Metis, it has never been deployed on crypto whatsoever. So it's not only a product that we haven't seen on other L2s, it's a product that no one has seen in general in crypto. So it's going to be a first time and it's going to happen on Metis. So that was first question has been answered. Second question was how will Danielle contribute to the long-term success of Metis? That one was pretty much answered also with the latest response of Danielle and explaining what's going to be the composability between WAGMI and other projects in Metis. I mean, all of these questions were pretty much answered. This is an interesting one. So, how can we repeat on Metis the success Danny's dabs had on Phantom? Danny, I don't know if you want to take that one.
Well, it's just 1,000 times better what I'm deploying here. So, I mean, how can I answer about success? I put full energy all the time, right? When I'm back, I'm back. Like now, I'm on MA. I'm on Twitter every day. I'm fucking deploying shit around the clock. Like you guys know when Danny is Danny. Like it's I'm not on the back burner. I'm fucking like burning hard. So I mean, I hope that not only I can repeat what happened on Phantom. I hope I can do 1,000 times better.
Amazing, amazing. I'm looking forward to that. You explained this one a little bit before, but if it's not a hassle, maybe you could go back into it. One user asked, how do we incentivize sticky liquidity and users for Metis DAO and WAGMI to avoid incentives cash grab and leave the chain?
Yeah. So I think I sort of answered it like when we use the GMI liquidity. Um, Basically, what happens is that we are selling our own token WAGMI in exchange of protocol owned liquidity. Okay, this protocol owned liquidity goes into our management of liquidity system. This makes this liquidity efficient. So the difference in between WAGMI and UniBFree is that UniBFree relies on third parties to be good, okay, which most of the time is shit, and also opens up depth of these pairs very deep. So basically, the APRs. What happens to the APRs is that everybody competes a lot with these venture capitals who just put wide ranges and bullshit that they don't even know what they're doing. And at the end of the day, the capital, the trade efficiency or the spreads are created by MEV and flash bots and all this kind of stuff, and by depth of liquidity. So it's just a lot of everywhere, you know. Instead, what we do is to use the brain and make sure that we don't need so much liquidity. We don't need 1 billion to trade one to execute 90%, 99% of the trades of Uniswap. You need 10% of that. Okay, if you're good enough. So in these optics, we created the GMI. So we just need to raise 10%. Another way that I look at it is like how much sushi has spent over the years in incentives for the liquidity that then, if there is not enough incentives, goes away. And the user is good to ask this question, like, how much did they spend? Maybe they spent 500 million, maybe they spent a billion. I don't even know. I don't want to know because it makes me cry, you know. But imagine if they would have just had the same system as WAGMI, and they would have spent 100 million, slowly building up, and now they would have 100 million liquidity that is super efficient. That Uniswap wouldn't even exist, okay, because it couldn't compete with this. So this is what we have been building, and of course, how can I? So in the case of WAGMI, it's built in to be a protocol for be friend to a layer two, okay, or to a blockchain in general. Like, but how can I disincentivize others? I mean, that's pretty difficult. Like other protocols do what they want. Of course, I'm more than happy to help the Metis team if they have any question about what I think about rewards on other protocols and stuff like this, and how I can help to minimize the waste of money. In our case, all the money we have been given is locked into the chain forever, and we don't take one penny to pay our shit. We don't dump anything. So you can imagine that, like, it's kind of it's built in into my mentality that we should use resources efficiently, and this is why WAGMI exists by itself. Like, it's an efficient way to do a decentralized exchange or an exchange in general. So, yeah.
Capital efficiency, baby. I love it. Love it. So there is one other question that someone asked. It's a pretty important question. They're asking if it's going to be a fair launch, or what's Monday going to look like. How can they participate on Monday's deployment?
Well, I mean, the caps open, and the caps constantly open on the GMI positions. So, like, need to just to be a little bit aware. Maybe put notifications on WAGMI uh, at Popsicle Finance. If you're on the notifications when we raise the caps, you get it straight away, and you can just join the caps. And that's it. Like, there is no token launch. Like, the token is already trading on Ethereum, is trading on Kava, so it will be trading also on Monday on Metis. So that's how you can participate. It's gonna be the same pricing. So, I mean, we maintain spreads well for everything else. Why wouldn't we maintain a proper spread on Metis on the WAGMI token? It will be. So there is a lot of arbitrage going on already. Like, there is a lot of volume. There is a lot of liquidity on the WAGMI token. Um, we are one of the few protocols in DeFi, actually in general, that has almost 25, 25% probably of market cap to liquidity ratio. That's huge. Like, it's proper. So there we are. Yeah.
Dude, I can't even like begin to describe how much I'm looking forward to Monday. I hope all the threaders were paying attention and taking notes. I'm taking notes myself. So yeah, I am very bullish about like everything that was mentioned throughout this space, about all of the alpha that was shared. That there's a lot going on in the Metis ecosystem, and on Monday things are gonna get rowdy. Like so, I'm looking forward to it like 100%. I think that covers it all for the AMA. I do want to thank Danny so much for his time, for joining us, for giving a little bit of words to the Metis community on what's coming. I want to thank everyone in the Metis community as well for joining. And Danny, I don't know if there's any last words that you might want to add.
Yeah, my last word is I'm actually super stoked about staked Metis. like, uh, I'm really like I'm really considering on trying to be like an individual sequencer myself, if it's possible. So let's see. But honestly, I'm super, super, super stoked about it, and that's why I started discussions with this. Even if they're small projects, like vetting these teams and guys and whatever that are hanging around and writing me and stuff about deploying, because I want a proper markets for staked Metis, and I want to see staked Metis to be successful, because if it is, like, the ecosystem is going to be fucking mind blowing, and nobody else can fuck with it. So I'm really that's the last thing I've just felt like thinking about. Um, but for the rest, like I'm looking forward to start our journey together, and as usual, like, frogs ahead, and fuck the frog nation is back. So let's make it all back. Wag me, wag me, wag me.
We're fucking back. All right. Thank you, everyone, for your time. Jose from Metis over here. And let's get it. Monday looking fine. See you all.